Hello and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us. Along with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
We have a July 17th meeting to talk about. The actual meeting was a little bit short, but there was a meeting before the meeting that was actually long. And then we have a long list of notes. July, a fun time in the city of Maple Grove and heading into August. So a lot to tell you about. Get your calendars out. Let's begin, Heidi, though, with the workshop that was before the council meeting on the 17th. Three main items that were discussed. The first has to do with water meters. So tell us why we're talking water meters now and how it relates back to something that happened maybe a year or two ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's been a few years since the city selected a new water meter vendor and installed new water meters in homes in Maple Grove and businesses. We've been experiencing some issues with the controller equipment and how it's supposed to be reporting out kind of the usage data that helps us with our utility billing, or actually forms the basis of our utility billing. So this actually was a closed session because we're dealing with some warranty issues and starting to become a legal matter. And so I took the opportunity to talk with the council about some strategy, and you'll probably be seeing more on this one with regard to the water meters.
All right, we'll keep you up to date on the next steps. The second is athletic fields, and there's some talk of maybe an expansion of a field. Give us a location for people that love the Maple Grove Crimson. It's close by the football field, right? Tell us about this plan.
Yeah, so this is a concept for some athletic field expansion just north of the Maple Grove Senior High football stadium. So it's right kind of at that corner of 99th and Fernbrook there, north of the stadium, and then kind of east of Fernbrook Elementary. The city over the last probably 5 to 6 years has acquired a couple parcels of land there. One was kind of opportunistic in terms of a piece that became available during kind of the downturn of the economy, and then the other piece we bought within the last year and was more kind of for assembly and control of what might happen on that parcel. So we've been looking at doing some athletic field expansion up there. We've met with a number of the athletic associations, football, lacrosse, soccer. They have an interest in participating. The city has a history of partnering with athletic associations for these types of facilities, and they bring both a capital contribution to the project as well as some operating, covering some of the operating expenses. And so this is kind of following in that model. So right now we're looking at a project that would either be 3 or 4 athletic turf fields up there. We've had discussions with the school district. There would be a connection, I think, between the two facilities from a pedestrian perspective. And then the facility, of course, would have parking associated with it, and the district may have an interest in partnering on some of that parking availability as well. So lots more to come on this, but we wanted to update the council on kind of the work that has been going on. The next step would be to move forward with a feasibility study on not only this site north of the stadium, but also looking at our baseball facilities in town. That's kind of been a long standing request of the Baseball Association, is to kind of look at creating a tournament venue. So we're looking at maybe repurposing some other fields that currently function for soccer and football, that maybe they could be repurposed to sort of augment the baseball side of sports in town. So feasibility studies, we'll be bringing that back to the council. There was general support to do that. So we'll be kind of looking at both sides of that, and more to come on this one as well.
All right, field discussion coming up in the future here. The final note is the canine program. So give us a little history. There was one in the city before, and now a thought of maybe reinventing that program. Tell us what's happening.
Yeah, so the city did have a canine program. It's been about 20 years since we've had a canine program here in Maple Grove, and in the last couple of years there's been discussion about bringing it back. Just to have that resource more readily available here in this community, we've had to rely on neighbors' resources, and then the county has shifted some of those resources around as well, and so I think it's gotten to be a little bit more of an important issue about bringing that program back here. So the police chief started conversation with the council a couple years ago about bringing that back, and there's been general support. Over the last 6 months or so, we've been working on, just from a policy perspective, working out some of that contract language, just to make sure that it's clear about how people will be paid and how dog maintenance will be handled and that kind of a thing. We're able to use a lot of our fine and forfeiture money for this type of a program program because dogs are so involved with kind of narcotic programs or
Right.
crime scene type things. And so we're able to do this basically kind of off the tax levy
Okay.
and utilize those dollars that are specific to these kinds of purposes. So we updated the council on where we're at from a policy perspective. We have union language now in place about how officers will be compensated, and now we're ready to move forward with the canine program. So, we'll be coming back to the council to get formal approval, but this was just a check-in to make sure everybody's still on board and that we're ready to go.
There you are, up to date with some of the workshop items, and again, we'll be moving ahead to the council, and we'll keep you up to date on those. To the council meeting of the 17th was about 35 minutes in length. There are a few things on the consent agenda to bring to your attention, and a few had to do with personnel, and the first, a familiar face now appointed as the acting fire chief. Tell us about Marilyn.
Yeah, so Scott Anderson's retirement is coming quickly here to us. July 31 will be his last day with the city. His retirement party will actually be that afternoon, July 31st. It's a Monday at the EOC up at the Government Center. 2 to 4 is the event. 3 o'clock is the program. So if you want to come for the program, make sure you mark that on your calendar to be up there at 3. Cake and coffee served, that kind of thing. And then I think there's a little gathering following, of course, at the Lookout. So with that, with Scott's departure then on the 31st, we need somebody to step into that interim fire chief role as we kind of go through this recruitment process. And Marilyn Arnland is going to be stepping into that role. She's one of our deputy chiefs. So starting August 1, she'll step into that role. Anticipate that that'll probably take us through October into early November before we get somebody on board. So a few months here where Marilyn will be acting in that role.
Very good. Congratulations to Marilyn. One other note to mention from a staffing end of it, let's talk about the finance department. We have a new assistant there.
We do, yeah. And this was an internal promotion. If you recall, when Jim Knutson retired, we went through a process and we ended up promoting internally our assistant finance director at the time, which was Steve Hauer, who'd been with the city for about 25 years. And so Steve has moved into that finance director role very seamlessly, and now we've promoted Sherry, who's been an accountant with the city for a number of years, into that assistant role. So we'll be now recruiting underneath Sherry to fill that role.
The process just continues, doesn't it?
Yes, and then hopefully we'll be at a full complement for a while here, and we're moving through the budget process now, and that's going well. So we'll be with the council on that front in August.
Very good. Congratulations to Sherry as well. Under special business, there was one of the grand events that happens on a somewhat regular basis at the council, and this is the swearing in of a few new police officers. So give us a little background there.
Yeah, so we had 2 new officers. They both have completed their FTO part of their program and coming on board with Maple Grove, and they will be starting, being out on the street here shortly. So Officer Eaton and Officer Dorr were welcome to the city last night and being sworn in, and all of their family in attendance, so it's always kind of a festive atmosphere, and a lot of the police department personnel show up for this event. So we had a full chambers for the swearing in, and it's always a nice opportunity to sort of recognize, new officers coming into the department and the service of those existing. So that's kind of a fun part of the evening.
Welcome to the new officers. Let's move ahead to public hearings. A few items in development that you should take note of. First was Donegal South. This continues to move ahead, and Ken was giving a little update. Tell us about that project. Yeah,
so this is a housing development kind of on the northeast corner of Central Park. So it's kind of the last residential piece that rings Central Park. And this is a little bit of a different kind of development, very kind of small lot, single family, more of a row house type style single family home. Pretty dense, but there's a lot of common area space, and of course it backs right up to that beautiful 40-acre Central Park. So what we were doing last night was accepting the bids for the installation of the public improvements there, and so now you're going to start to see some of that dirt moving around on that site and getting those utilities and streets put in.
Very good. Another item to talk about as far as some development news is HiV is back at the table. So
Yeah.
tell us about HiV North and a little bit about the other property as well. So give us an update on both. This was with the North is what we're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, so we needed to vacate a drainage and utility easement. It's really about moving kind of there's a sewer pipe in there that we
Okay.
needed to move and clear away so that a building could be located and redirect that. So pretty standard process, but we have to go through a vacation process for that. So this is kind of another step in the process as we see them getting ready, hopefully, to get going on that HiV North site.
Very good.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the South. We
Yep.
have a mention of it later, but let's take it right now since we're talking HiV.
Yep.
So there's going to be some action happening in that corner of Bass Lake Road and 101, but it's not HiV
Not
yet.
quite yet. Not quite yet.
Tell us what's going on there.
Yeah, so in that area, and they've kind of renamed, I think that development area was formerly kind of referred to as the markets at Rush Creek. They've renamed that to Southwest Crossroads.
Okay.
So we have, there's interest in developing some housing kind of on the west side of 101. So south of Bass Lake Road, west side of 101,
Sure.
sort of in that southwest corner. There's a little triangle in there that's still Maple Grove that butts up to Corcoran.
Okay.
Some apartments and townhomes, and in order for that development to move forward, we need to deal with some storm drainage issues. And
Okay.
so there's going to be some grading work that's going to occur out there, moving some dirt around in order for that to happen. So it might look like HiV South is getting going, but we don't quite see that happening quite yet.
Okay.
We still don't have a definitive timeline from HiV on that South store. But if folks see this, that's really about kind of the development to the west of there and readying that
Right.
entire site for development
All right.
in that area.
Just wanted you to be aware. So
Yes.
the north side, as far as the timeline, if the sewer gets fixed, that pipe goes through, do we have a time frame on when things will move ahead with HiV themselves?
They haven't submitted for building
Okay.
permits yet, so we don't have that yet, but all of these things are sort of lining up to get ready.
It's happening. We'll
think
be
so.
hopefully the first to let you know that. Let's
Yes.
talk about Mills Creek project. We've talked about this quite a few times, and it continues again to move through the process. Where are we now?
Yeah, so this is really ordering the plans and specs for the installation of streets and utilities, and then we'll get out and add for bids on that project, and that will come
Okay.
back and probably get in the ground yet this fall. So that project continues to move forward. Probably, I suspect they might see some construction of homes starting yet this year on that site.
Okay,
Yep.
very good. A few other items and updates from staff from community development. We talked a little bit about Lifetime Swim, Crave, and the bank associated with that. Give us an update on those two.
Yeah, so the Lifetime Fitness Swim School, this is on the parcel just kind of on the north end of the Sky Apartments up along Hemlock. They had come forward and come through the development stage plan, and now they're coming back they came forward with the concept stage, and now they're coming back for the development stage plan.
Okay.
They'll be in front of Planning Commission here in the next couple weeks, and then anticipated that they'll be in front of council at the first meeting in August.
Okay.
There were some architectural concerns raised with this project in that that's kind of a residential area, and the concept that they've brought forward really looks more kind of like an office building, and whether that kind of fits into that area. So
Sure.
it'll be, I know the architects there have been kind of working on tweaking that a bit, but we'll see what the Planning Commission and City Council thinks as they come back through for development
Very
stage
good.
plan. Yep.
And then the Crave and the bank site, they're on the corner of Main Street
Yep.
and Elm Creek Boulevard. That continues to move ahead through, I guess, the permit stage?
Yep, we're about ready to issue permits on that one and
Okay.
get that one going, so we'll start to see some activity there. I know it's been kind of drug out a little bit.
Right.
We had to work through some issues of kind of the two buildings on the one lot and different ownership, different situations there with the building. So
Okay.
I think we've got those issues resolved, and hopefully we'll see some activity there in the coming weeks.
All right, be watching that corner. Let's move ahead to Ken Ashfield, talking a little bit about Public Works, and he is looking at some application work coming up for
Yeah.
him. What is happening in transportation?
Yeah, so as a result of the legislative session, there were some dollars provided to the Corridors of Commerce program, the Transportation Economic Development program, various other funding sources for transportation improvements. And so we are working on preparing to apply to those various funding sources for the completion project for 610.
Right.
We kind of chased funding through the legislative session and weren't successful in kind of getting designated funding, but now we will try to access funding through some of these programs that are available. It wasn't a tremendous amount of dollars that were provided to these programs, and clearly there's a high demand in the metro area for improvements, so I'm sure they'll receive much more in requests than they have money to fulfill, but we have to be at the table, so we'll be applying for that on 610. In addition, we are looking at 169 and Elm Creek Boulevard. We've had some discussions with MnDOT there. That is an existing interchange that would be kind of a maintenance preservation project, a replacement interchange there.
Right.
High freight usage, high truck traffic in that area, and so there's some federal freight dollars that we might be able to tap into with that one. So kind of focusing both in the tail end or the eastern end of the gravel mining area and then up in the northwest area for those bigger transportation improvements.
Very good. One other transportation note to pass along. Weaver Lake Road in Dunkirk, if you've been there, you might have noticed that there's need maybe for a few things looking at the traffic control. What is the city looking at doing there? Yeah,
so I think it's just how the lanes have been necked down and how the turning movements are happening. We've gotten a lot of feedback from the traveling public in the neighborhood in and around there. So engineering staff was going to try to make some tweaks to that to see if the things can't function better. I think we're kind of getting close on those street maintenance projects, but no doubt they have impact to those that travel those roads every day and can become very frustrating. So we appreciate people's patience, and hopefully what they're doing to kind of tweak that will help.
Very good.
Yep.
And to your report, a few items to update folks in the city on. One is National Night Out. People should mark down August 1st. It's a Tuesday, is a very special day, both in the afternoon and evening. Tell us what happens that day. Yeah,
so from 11 to 1 at the Community Center on August 1st, that Tuesday, first Tuesday in August, always. National Night Out here in Maple Grove. We kick it off with a community picnic at the Community Center. You'll see police and fire out there grilling hot dogs, and it's a great event. Bring the kids on out. There's always tons of different displays in the parking lot. Sometimes even kind of the medevac, the medical helicopter comes, and there's other public safety type information educational booths out there. So it's a fun day, and we encourage everybody to come out to the picnic. Then of course in the evenings the neighborhood parties happen. If you're still thinking about that, you can give a call to Todd Strigi over in the police department, and he can help you with that. But and then our city council and police and fire staff will all kind of be going out and going around to the various neighborhood parties that evening.
All right, go to the website as well. We'll give you that at the end of the show. You can find out more information there and get a hold of Todd. Let's talk Portillo's. People are getting excited here. And speaking of early August, that seems to be the time frame now for a groundbreaking?
Yeah, so they've been in contact with us. They're trying to get that scheduled somewhere around that first Monday or Tuesday, July 31st or August 1st. Granted, we have National Night Out on August 1st, so we're trying to work through those details. But yeah, it sounds like they're going to get going here, and they have a pretty swift construction timeline. They can put up one of these stores in about 14 weeks, which is kind of amazing. So, yeah, I think they have it down pat. And I think we mentioned the last time I was here that I had an opportunity to go over and visit the Woodbury store and get a sense of kind of how that site functioned and the architecture in real life. And it is really a quality project. So I think this is going to be a nice addition to that corner. And we'll be continuing to monitor how the traffic and the circulation works on the site and make sure that that works smoothly. So yeah, hopefully groundbreaking here in late July, early August.
All right, keep your eyes out on that site. A few other items to touch on. First of all, bond rating for the city, I know, is very important. We talked about it a couple times per year, and this is another time to highlight it. Tell us about what has happened with AAA once again. Yeah, so we just sold bonds for our street maintenance project. So all the work that's being done in the various neighborhoods and Weaver, Dunkirk area, we sold the bonds to pay for that work. We always have to go out for a bond rating call to reaffirm the financial position of the city. And again, we were reaffirmed at a AAA, which is the highest bond rating a city can have. So that is great news for the city. Yields
yields us great interest rates, and a lot of interest in the bond sale, which creates competition on that as well for good interest rate outcomes. So kudos to the finance staff. Jim Knutson, of course, who's now retired, but certainly the bond rating agencies kind of look from the year past as to how the city did financially and how stable we are as a city from a revenue perspective and our market values and whatnot. And so kudos to the financial staff, Jim and now Steve and Sherry, for their work on that.
Very good. Congratulations to the city. One last item from the council meeting and Heidi's updates was quite a bit about the website. So if you haven't been there lately, there are a lot of things going on and some neat ways to interact and get information. So run us through some of the new things that people will find there and how they benefit residents in the city.
Yeah, so we've been just trying to add some new tools and resources to the website to make it a little bit more robust for our users. We recently added at the top, kind of the bar at the top of the homepage, there's a section now called I Want To. And hopefully what that will do is allow users to navigate more quickly to what it is that they're seeking to do. So it asks kind of the common questions. We went through and assessed, what are the top things that people come to our website to find, and kind of plug that into that I Want To section. So hopefully they have less clicks in order to get to where they want to get to. We've added some tools, and these are all kind of maybe development or economic development related. We've added available land and buildings in Maple Grove, and this is through a system called Location One Information System. So basically it's an index of available land and buildings that businesses might be interested in to expand or come to Maple Grove. So that's a great resource. And then we have an interactive development projects map. So if you're interested in what's going on, what's happening on that corner, what's being built over there, this is a place that you can go, and it shows all the projects that are going on, both proposed, under construction, recently completed, so you can get information there. It even has some of the renderings of the building, some of the plans associated with it, so kind of provides really good information about what's happening in Maple Grove. And then this is a resource that we've had for some time, but it's always a good reminder because we are in road construction season.
Yes, we are.
Yes, but we have a road construction interactive map as well that kind of shows all the projects that are going on, the timeline associated with them, what the scope of work is, who's the lead on the project. Sometimes we have county projects in town, or sometimes they're city or state projects, and so that's another great resource on the website. And we're going to continue to try to kind of roll out some of those improvements to kind of improve our users' experience online.
MapleGroveMN.gov is the place to find that website, and we'll show that again at the end of the program. So that's it from the meeting on the 17th, but we have a couple other items to touch on quickly here about the city. And of course, before the taping, the week before, it was Maple Grove Day. So give us a little recap. We have new ambassadors, people very happy with having fun and surviving the heat.
Yeah, it was a hot day on Saturday. It was very warm, but I think everybody fared pretty well. We didn't have any problems that day, no major incidents, so it was good. Yes, and so the Friday night prior, of course, to Saturday, we had coronation for the Maple Grove ambassadors, and so we said goodbye to 3 lovely young women who have served the city well, and they'll move on now. And Ellie Bermeyer is going to be representing Maple Grove at the Aquatennial this week. I saw on Facebook today that she's already arrived in Minneapolis, and will do Maple Grove proud. So we're really happy with the service that they provided this past year. But we also welcome our new ambassadors, Emily Johnson, Natalie Campa, and Callie Marino. And so it's been fun. I have gotten to know Callie in particular. I'm involved with the Junior Rotarian program up at Maple Grove Senior, and she was one of our Junior Rotarians this year. So it's kind of fun coming into the year knowing some history here. Emily Johnson was also a Junior Rotarian here in Maple Grove. And then Natalie Camp, I think, was in the process last year for ambassadors. So really happy to have them on board and look forward to a full year. So lots of fun things throughout the Maple Grove Days weekend, and I think it was a really great event this year.
It was fantastic. And again, if you're interested in volunteering even for the next year, Deb and her crew get started early, so you might want to go to MGCO and find out more. Let's talk about Town Green and the very short term. There's some things coming up, and throughout the summer, great things to do. Tell us what's coming up quickly here. Yeah, so this Wednesday, so 2 days from now, or actually tomorrow, July 19th, Kimberly Brown returns to Town Green, and this is a 7 p.m. Concert.
And then on Thursday at 11 a.m., we're in the kids program, and that's the Teddy Bear Band, and they'll be there at 11 a.m. And then Friday, we're back to the movies. So this is at dusk, Friday, July 21, and they are going to be showing the movie Sing, and that movie's rated PG. And then we'll also have our Playhouse preschool teachers available before the show that night. So get information about that program. And that program, of course, is located at the community center.
All right, so some great ways to get out and have some summer time entertainment. Speaking of summer, watering lawns might be a concern of people at this point with as warm as it's been. What about watering lawns in Maple Grove? What do we need to remember?
Yeah, well, it's been raining today, so we're kind of off the hook. We're off the hook for watering today a little bit, but we don't have a formal watering ban that we put in place, but we do encourage residents to kind of be conscious of their water usage, especially when watering grass. Just 1/2 inch per week can be sufficient to keep your lawn healthy, so we ask that people schedule their watering early in the morning or later in the evening, so you're not doing it at the peak of day. But just kind of a friendly reminder as we move through these hot summer, end of the summer months.
Yes, gets a little warm out there. But if you need to cool off and get some great produce and things, go to the farmer's market. So give us an update there. They continue to roll along, but have some special days coming up here. Tell us about those.
Yeah, so we're still on the Thursday 3 to 7 schedule every Thursday at the community center. We are preparing for a special one-time farmers market on Saturday, July 29th. This one will be in the parking lot over at Central Park. So this is kind of bringing the farmers market to the neighborhood. That'll be from 9 to noon. Not the full extent of our vendors, because a lot of them are committed to other things on other days of the week, but about 20 vendors scheduled for that day and all the regular programs in place. But just encourage everybody to come on out. We're going to start getting into sweet corn season.
Sounds good.
It's really going to start to pop now with a lot of the vegetables that are available. So worth the trip to come out.
Be ready to shop. Few items we want to pass along related to the fire department. One is firefighter recruitment, and then the other has to do with clearing around fire hydrants. So first, the recruitment end. Always a need in the city of Maple Grove.
Yeah, for paid-on-call firefighters, we're always looking for folks that are interested in stepping up to serve the community. Our application period right now goes through August 4th. You don't need to have any experience. We provide all the training. We pay for all of that and provide that opportunity to folks who are interested. So they can go to mgfire.info for details on that.
All right, and fire hydrants, again, it's not just a wintertime thing.
No.
You want to keep it clear during the summer, so what should we do?
Yeah, so a lot of times we find that there's a lot of landscaping that happens around fire hydrants, which is beautiful, but we also need to be able to find them when we get out there and easily access them if there's a fire in the neighborhood. So maybe just take a look at your landscaping if you have a fire hydrant near that area and make sure that they're easily accessible to our fire staff.
Very good. Photo contest is underway, a rite of summer in the city of Maple Grove, and I know a lot of people were out taking pictures during Maple Grove days. It ends soon, and so far there's been a number of entries and a lot of votes. So tell us how we can get involved in this fun.
Yeah, so the photo contest goes through tomorrow, Wednesday, July 19th, and you can submit your photos online via our website. So far we have 306 entries, and we've had over 1,000 votes cast.
Great.
So I think great participation this year, and we really look forward to seeing the pictures that come out of this year's contest.
And a lot of those pictures you'll see on the website and on publications as we move throughout the year. A wellness award has come to the city of Maple Grove. Give us a little background on the wellness in Maple Grove.
Yeah, so the city of Maple Grove has a wonderful wellness program for its employees. We really do a lot to kind of bring awareness for our employees about their own personal health and then try to give them tools to try to improve that. I've been very impressed with what I've seen here in terms of the program, and I've taken advantage of it myself. And so we have then also been recognized amongst our peers by Hennepin County for our efforts in wellness. And I think we've seen the fruits of that investment as well in terms of our health care, our health insurance premiums. This last year, we saw an actual decrease in our premium costs. So I think, it's hard to absolutely attribute our efforts to, the impact on health care premiums, usage of sick leave, workers' comp claims, all of those kinds of things become considerations for wellness programs. And so we tend to think that there's a relationship there, and that supports the continuation of the program. And I think our employees appreciate that investment that we try to make in their health, and they can earn additional additional vacation days if they participate in the program and earn enough points.
Sounds good
so
to me.
There's lots of good incentive there as well.
Right. Congratulations to the city.
Yep.
Last couple seconds here, just a few quick mentions, a couple dates coming up we want to make sure we get to. A couple fashion shows coming up in the city. Back to School Fashion Preview is Wednesday the 16th of August, and the Fashion Flair, which is more towards the senior community, is Thursday the 17th. Those happen at the Community Center, hosted by Park and Recreation and also by the shops at Arbor Lakes. And again, go to the city's website to find out more information. Heidi, thank you very much for your time once again. A lot to cram into a half hour, but I think we did it. Here is some information you might need to know for the next council meeting. It comes up on August 7th is the next meeting date. And again, you see the phone number at the bottom of the screen, and up at the top you see the website, maplegrovemn.gov. A lot of information there. For your response line, 533-1710. If you have questions or comments. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.